Hi, I'm Kendra with WTMAstrology, and today I am talking about Aries and Virgo compatibility. Now, I just want to make a quick note that this is not going to be as in-depth or personal as a relationship reading. If you got a relationship reading with me, I could go over, aspects between planets, house overlays, etc., a lot more personalized. This is just going to be kind of a surface level analysis of how these two sign energies would interact with one another. So if you're not even an Aries, but you have Aries dominance, or you're not a Virgo, but you have Virgo dominance, this could still apply to you. Just a general read of how the signs interact with one another. So Aries and Virgo. This is not the best pairing in the zodiac. I'm not saying it can't work. Again, I'm not going to talk down about any astrological pairing because I think if two people are conscious and they want to make it work, and especially if they have a mutual respect for astrology and how to potentially make their dynamic work together, anything can work. But I don't see Aries and Virgo as being very easy for anybody involved. I had a long-term relationship with a Virgo man, and I'm going to be speaking to some of this during the video. But this is an inconjunct pairing. By sign, they are inconjunct, which means they are 150 degrees away from one another in the zodiac. And they are pretty much as different as two signs can be. That means they have different elements and different modalities, etc. So they're pretty much as different as two signs can be. Aries is cardinal fire, and Virgo is earth, mutable earth. I don't know why I'm not accessing my words right now, but Aries and Virgo are inconjunct. And I will say that with the inconjunct, there is a lot of attraction. There's no real lack of attraction with inconjunct aspects. You find people, you find Aries and Virgo sun couples all the time, Aries and Scorpio. All of the inconjunct signs generally find each other very attractive, and Aries and Virgo is one that I've seen over and over and over. So Aries and Virgo are very attracted to one another. I think just because they're so wildly different that it's like, wow, what's going on over here? I've never seen this before. It's so different. Or that I don't relate to this at all. So there's like a fascination and a lot of attraction between Aries and Virgo. But I'll go over quickly the nice aspects of this dynamic. Aries is the child of the zodiac. That's not to say that most of us are irresponsible or that we require supervision necessarily, but we can have a little bit of a harder time with the mundane, the details of adulting. You see a lot of Aries entrepreneurs, but who's handling the details in those businesses? It's generally not the Aries entrepreneur. Aries brought the passion, Aries brought the start, and then they handed, the detail work off to someone else because they're not about those details. They're about those initial starts, and they're about that passion. Virgo, it's much more about the details. They are much more skilled with the mundane. They're earth sign, which automatically makes them more connected to the material realm. So they have a much easier time handling those details, handling things that are of the material realm, things that Aries will find boring and monotonous. So in that way, they're good for each other, especially in a romantic pairing. They're good in this way because Virgo is willing to do some of the stuff that Aries is not very good at, and Aries is not unwilling to lend a helping hand. In a lot of cases, even Virgo wants to take control in that dynamic because they know Aries isn't going to do things quite to their specifications, so they'd rather just take over than get Aries involved. And it's kind of an everybody wins type of situation because, again, Aries isn't unwilling to help, but Virgo would rather take care of some of those details. And this is how it worked for me and my long-term relationship with a Virgo. He handled a lot of those adulting details, and he took good care of me. I didn't necessarily want to be taken care of, but he took good care of me. And I'm not saying anything sexist in this way. What I'm saying is that if I remember I ran into some poison oak once, and he was the one. I was really just kind of like wanting to brush it off. Aries doesn't want to pay attention to anything that might slow them down in any way. But he was there, and he would put ointment on my rash every day. I had a little rash on my foot. He would put ointment on my rash every day. He was always making sure that I was taken care of health wise. Um, Things like that. He was the one who unloaded the groceries because I wouldn't put them away in the place that he wanted. So he took care of a lot of those little details. He wanted to take care of a lot of those little details. And I was quite a bit younger then, so I didn't really want to get involved. I was pretty happy to let someone else take care of me. I mean, I've had to learn since then, but I was pretty happy to let someone else take care of me. Um, Now, the dynamic that can happen with Aries and Virgo once you get past this surface level, really nice dynamic is that Aries does not want to be analyzed. Aries doesn't want to be analyzed. They're generally pretty self aware, being that they're the sign that is about the self. And they don't really want to be analyzed. They don't really want to be picked apart. And Virgo is all about picking things apart, and that's where they excel. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's where they excel. But they can really pick apart Aries behavior and interpret it as something that it's not. So Virgo might watch Aries, being Aries, being independent, wanting to go out and experience life and say, who's the other guy or who's the other girl, and they can get pretty jealous just observing that behavior from the Aries, drawing the wrong conclusion. So that's one way that Virgo can really nitpick Aries, and Aries doesn't want to be nitpicked. There's also a lot of from Virgo. There's a lot of this detail orientedness that Aries is not patient enough for. Aries is not patient enough to wait for you to get the television set just right before you turn on a TV show. They're not patient enough to meander down the aisles of a store. That's one specific problem we had. Grocery shopping took hours because he wanted to get everything very specific, and he had a list of everything that he wanted, and we would go up and down and up and down the aisles looking for the exact thing that he wanted. So Aries doesn't have the patience for that. And Virgo does not like Aries' passionate, abrasive style. So Aries can be very argumentative and really just rage when Virgo tries to analyze them or nitpick them or whatever. And Virgo doesn't like that. Virgo doesn't understand that. Virgo doesn't really understand how it would have been taken offensively that Aries, that they analyzed a certain behavior of Aries or whatever. So that can be an issue. And when Aries just wants to fight, Virgo wants to analyze. So there's this constant like friction going on where Virgo wants to analyze what's going on and Aries just wants to rage about it. And Virgo can have a little bit of a controlling streak as well. And Aries just doesn't do well with any kind of control. And again, this isn't necessarily abusive. I'm not saying anything bad about Virgos in general, but Virgo and Earth signs in general do want a little bit more of that material control. So Aries just doesn't like that. Aries just doesn't like to be put in a box and have their individuality or freedom hampered in any way. So Virgo can take a lot of offense to Aries' brash behavior. And also because Virgo is a very nervous energy being ruled by Mercury, Aries can make them very nervous with that too. So Virgo analyzes, Aries reacts, doesn't like Virgo's analysis of them, doesn't like to be labeled or put in a box, and just rages at Virgo. And Virgo is, this nervous energy. So they can easily turn that into a self-deprecating thing and become very nervous, very upset by what's going on. It's just a lot of misunderstanding here. And I'm not saying one is right and the other is wrong. It may seem that way because I'm the Aries in that situation, just because they both have downfalls doesn't mean I'm nitpicking Virgo. This has just been my experience with Virgo energy in an Aries and Virgo relationship, and it just doesn't work very well together. So maybe it could work if there was a lot of other compatible energies, but Aries and Virgo in general, that's in conjunct, they're just not going to work together very easily at all. Anyway, that was my analysis of Aries and Virgo. I really hope you enjoyed it and have a great day.